All right, welcome to another installment of Ozzy and Keats. We're not great, we're just okay. I guess the new subtitle would be "It Rhymes with Ripple." We can sort of throw that one in as well because that sort of lingered to your podcast, hasn't it, Mr. Osgood?
It has. I just around town over the weekend. I was there's a card show. A lot of lines were there. I left, but I heard a lot of comments about Ripple for sure. So that is good. So, it's keep shooting for the stars, John. I love that jersey in the back. What is that? The 20? Is that a McCarty or 25? Is that?
Well, you may not remember this,
Yeah,
but you signed that jersey because it was it was at the jersey of my farewell match.
Another one of those nights.
And there's a story attached to that. You signed it, and then you kind of went, you went over the edge a little.
Or the phrase "clean out of the shoe too quick."
Yeah, right. We began a little early because we're still learning that beer can make you silly, I guess. Right. We need to mention that we're proudly brought to you by Grand Valley State and by Rosenau Power Sports as we continue with Ozzy and Keats, and we have to mention right up front, we're delighted that we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. Todd McLellan will join us from his home in Western Canada in just a matter of moments here as we continue on the podcast. Now, you were just sharing with me the other day that apparently the cold tub is your new thing.
Yeah, I've done it before when I played because it makes you feel a heck of a lot better. And it was kind of Chris Chelios who came up. Remember, you rode the bike in the sauna, but it was between the sauna and going to the old school tin tub that they had at the Joe Louis and the cold up. I really haven't done it a lot. I don't love the cold, but I've been doing it now. As you would well know, because you mentioned you're on all fours last week and people were panicking. you tend to get more sore when you're over 50. So now I'm getting these little aches in my knees and my ankles and my wrists. So it's helping a ton. I go in this cold tub back and forth, and it's really been working wonders. And I don't love the cold, but coincidentally, it started because I hadn't been in a cold plunge or whatever they want to call it for quite some time until I went over to Finland and Sweden. And they had one in the Baltic Sea in Finland. I slipped in there and it was freezing. Take your breath away. The only thing that made me feel better after that was a couple of cold Heinekens at a little lounge up top. But since then, I've been doing it, trying to do it 3 times a week. So as you can see, though, I am cold-hearted.
I'm cold-hearted to be sure. And I'm going to guess there was there's shrinkage involved when this happens.
What do they say? A grower, not a shower. Is that what they say?
Okay. And you referenced me being on all fours, and there's quickly the story there is the guy who cut the grass at the house, sent me a text, "Hey, I'm here," and so I went. I had the check for him, and I'm standing on the porch waiting for him to cross the lawn, and I see a piece of trash in the rock garden next to the porch, and so. And I can't reach it. So I have to get down on all fours to pick up this piece of trash. And this very nice gentleman comes up walking across the street to get the check from me and sees me on all fours on my porch and is a mad sprint because he thinks I've gone over the edge. So, and I know you enjoyed that story mightily.
Yeah, he knows the background. He knows everything about you. From a distance, realizes where we're going. It reminds me of a lot your life, these little instances during the course of a day of that movie back in the day, Grumpy Old Men, Walter Matthau.
Yeah,
these things are going to continue to happen to you on a daily basis that we have to know that maybe didn't happen before. It's like as you get older, certain things kick in. Like suddenly you like electric blankets, where before you would never use one. Now the electric blanket is like a mainstay.
And I'm not an electric blanket guy, but that's a whole nother story. We don't need to be talking about that as we're now in June, but okay.
No, not right now. It's hard for you to use it when you're at happy hour every day anyway. So when are you supposed to get it?
All right. So you're talking back in the day and I'm scrolling social media videos as we all do as we're just sitting around. And I decided I had to bring this up. And so my direct question to you, Mr. Osgood, how many episodes of Cheaters did you watch?
Right. Oh,
Oof.
I probably watched between 500 and 1,000 times easily. I still do watch it.
Awful. It's awful and compelling television, isn't it? And you got the guy who's very serious. And for those who don't know, I mean, you can find these online, but for those who don't know, there's an investigator who talks in very serious tones about, it's like, all right, I'm going to show you what your significant other is doing with others, and we've got our operative is there, and coming to the bottom of it, and you can see this happened and that happened and that happened, and of course you got a security team around the cameras. They take it very, very seriously, and of course, then there is the mayhem when they're confronted at the bar. Ultimately,
Yes. And Cheers, you're talking about? Guess what happened right there? The squirrel just went right on the hamster. I'm
not Cheers, not Cheers. I'm talking cheaters. Cheaters. The old.
I had no idea.
Oh my gosh.
2 minutes. I was
Cheaters.
right up. And people wonder why those went from the red line. Now we all know. Oh, that's a great.
Oh my God. I remember Norm got confronted by Cliff, and
by Cliff. I never watched that show. Your
oh really?
No. I'm not a big reality show person. The first one I ever would have watched would have been I can't remember it now. I'm having one of those days, Jenna.
All right. Well,
Survivor was the first one I ever watched.
Survivor. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of them though. I never have really watched those shows.
All right. I will share this with you. Once you begin, and everybody knows this, once you watch one of these things on social media,
yeah,
I mean, make yourself comfortable, because just a string of them will all of a sudden pop up because they know they've got you. And they are compelling. And I see that it is coming back in 2025. Cheaters is the name of the show. I mean, it's dreadful and compelling television. All right. Before we get to Todd McLellan, the Red Wings head coach, a few more questions from people who played along and sent in their questions that they have for you or me or us. And this is from Deanna Nelson, who asks for both of you. Tell us fans the one thing you like about each other. You go first.
When you're walking away from me.
That was exactly going to be my answer. When you stop talking. When you stop talking is the best thing.
When you go out the one way at the LCA and I go the other.
And yet, I'm not even out of the parking garage and the phone rings because you want to chat.
I want to read the show.
Oh my God.
I mean, I do.
Oh my God.
Ounce in me that does actually want to do pretty good and cares a bit about what we were doing, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, but you always have these great ideas after we finish the show, as opposed to, I don't know, bringing them up before we go on the air so we can talk about the things that we might make happen before the show actually begins. No. You want to go back and say, we should have done this, we should have done that. Second guessing is easy.
And good thing is to write it down, because by the time I told you all those that night, I'd forgotten the next day.
Yes,
because I fired up after the show.
Of course.
I think in the end it wasn't bad, but I'm not good with people say, well, let's put on your phone as a reminder. I don't even know how to do that. I have nothing in my phone other than texts, and I look at sports and and
all
I
right.
can't do that. I had to write this stuff down. So I'll write it down right now.
Okay.
Walk
all right.
away from Mike.
Great. From Carlo Mazenga, which Detroit Red Wings team was your favorite?
Mine would have been 2008 and 9. And it was funny. I was thinking about this last night, and I was frustrated by it again. And I also I often think of things while I'm lying in bed because I'm not a great sleeper. And I thought to myself, you go through, you win these Stanley Cups. we had 2 chances to win another game. We lost game 6, I think 2-1 in Pittsburgh, and then we lost game 7, 2-1 at home. And I was actually feeling like I was mad about it. And I was like, what would have become if we would have won that one, right? And so you're always thinking that. You're not thinking the 2008, you're thinking the 2009. Oh, you're up 3-2, you're up 2-0. You should the percentages, the analytics, what they say now, tell you we should have won that. So you don't. So it's still to this day, and that's a long time ago. Think about like we'll bounce here, bounce there, should have won, and what could have been if we would have won that. But both those teams probably for me, because we had some great veterans. We were an older team. You said you couldn't win with a European captain, and Lindstrom was the captain, one of the best players of all time. And Dallas Drake, we had some intriguing veterans as well. Chelly was at the later stages of his career, great teammate, awesome guy. Was in and out of the lineup, had some big spots. Darren McCarty came back also in 2008. He was in the lineup, and we had some really cool games at home. So there was a lot of pieces to that team that was also from the past, the 97, 98 teams, but also had some really good young players in Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg and Nicholas Cromwell. So then Brian Rafalski was there as well. So and we had a lot of just integral parts that were really character guys. So I would have to say those 2 teams, uneven par. Although, John, I do get mad at you, you get mad at me, but those 2 losses still sting nowadays. And I always randomly think about them sometimes. So,
well, and we'll talk to Todd McLellan about this, but as we record this podcast, it is the anniversary. It is the anniversary of when you won in 2008, when you won the Stanley Cup. And you were sprawling and the puck went right through the goal mouth and, you were able to breathe again. And that was the last championship won by any team in the city of Detroit.
That was the last time my liver was healthy. Was that time?
Okay. Maybe right before that, because right after that.
When that puck went across, it was an impeccable liver.
All right. That's a great spot to take a break. We'll step aside. We'll come right back. We'll be joined by the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings, Todd McLellan, as Ozzy and Keats continues in a skosh.
Hey, Grand Valley State University is filling Michigan's talent pipeline. Graduates of the state's 3rd largest university are moving Michigan forward, with more than 86% of GVSU alumni working in and strengthening our state in well-paying careers. It's no wonder that in a recent survey, Michigan business leaders chose Grand Valley as the most excellent school in the state. Learn more at gvsu.edu/impact.
All right, we continue with Ozzy and Keats, and we're thrilled to be joined by Todd McLellan, the head coach of the Detroit Red Wings. And Todd, we just talked about this. It's on the day that we're recording this, it is the anniversary of when the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup in 2008. Where is your Stanley Cup ring, and have you ever put it on since that day?
That's kind of an ironic question because I'm in Kelowna, BC right now. I have my rings here with me, and I have a real good friend that takes care of our yard, basically the gardener. And he was talking about Stanley Cup rings. I pulled it out the other day for the first time, and I don't know how many. I didn't even remember what it looked like. And I didn't put it on, but he was wearing it. And they talk about what the Stanley Cup does to affect people, the draw of it. The simple wearing the ring, or the ability to put the ring on for this gentleman the other day, it made his day. So it's funny that you brought that up, but that's where it is.
What memories do you have of that run with that team working under Mike Babcock during those days?
Well, my memories go back 3 years prior. I thought we had a hell of a team with Stevie's last year. And, I tell people we had a regular season that it wasn't easy because it never is, but we cruised along pretty good. We got into the playoffs and obviously against Edmonton, it didn't go real well for us. And then I thought the next year our team wasn't as strong as 05, but it became more of a team. We got more elements of ruggedness and nastiness into the lineup. We lost to Anaheim that year in the conference finals, I believe. And then the following year, in comes Dallas Drake. Mac comes back. Ozzy and Dom are both playing exceptional, and they could go back and forth. and maybe that wasn't our most talented team, but that was our best team. It had the right ingredients. Thought Kenny did a real good job of putting it all together. And I remember getting into the playoffs playing, I think, Nashville in round one, and it was a little dicey. The series was close. Nick, I think, had to score one of his infamous shots from the red line where he skipped one in on, I think it was Wakun maybe back then, or I'm not even sure. Ozzy, you would know. And then away we went. And the other big factor, I'm not just saying it because Ozzy's here, is that Dom played really well until it was time for a change, and Ozzy was ready. And when Ozzy went in, that's really all we needed for the push over the top. And you talk about rings and Stanley Cups and all that type of stuff. They're important. They're reminders, but the memories are what, and the stories you can tell are what I truly value, and I'm sure some of the other teammates do.
Where'd you
So you're here to testify. Wait a minute, Ozzy. You're here to testify, Todd, that Ozzy was actually focused at one point, because I've never experienced that ever.
Can I plead the fifth, or do I have to? But no, you know what, Ozzy, and again, he's sitting on the call. Ozzy was a character, and you need characters on the team. And some of the crap he pulled, the team needed. Not often do you see the spare goal eating hot dogs on the bench. I remember being in, we talked about this too, being in San Jose. It was the Olympic year. All our Swedes, half our team was over in Sweden playing. And we went to San Jose and with nobody, because they all stayed over there for the parade. And San Jose was stacked that year. And it was about 5-0, 5 shots into the game. Now, I wasn't sure if Ozzy was in net or if Dom was in net.
Dom started. I was hiding in the corner.
The goalie didn't sit on the bench. There wasn't room. So at about 5-0, everybody's looking over at Ozzy, and you can't see him anymore because he's ducking below the boards. Don't put me.
Might have been the video guy, and he comes out and he says, they're looking for you. They're looking for you. And I was hiding. I said, tell him I need to stretch.
I think we put you in and then put Dom back in, didn't we? Didn't we?
No, but he scored a couple more, and Dom says, I thought I was coming out after 5. I go, you were, but I had to stretch. He was sour. Yeah. He was in for 7. Then I went in and started doing my game. I had nothing to do with it. We lost, 10-1? Oh, my God.
It was just a complete write-off. But you know what? That team recovered, though. Like, we took it on the chin. We got our guys back and probably moved down to LA and Anaheim on that trip. And I bet you we won. And that was the type of team we had. So it was good.
Yeah. We did have a few of those that year, Todd. We lost, I think, to Nashville 9-1, Columbus 9-1. A lot of people were losing it. We were not laughing, but we were taking it for what it was and knew we'd be ready. But back to you though. What did you take the cup back to Saskatchewan?
I did. From Saskatoon, obviously, and we brought it back. Had friends and family there. Just had a little, quiet day with it. Took it to. I think we took it to the hospital, if I remember correctly. Try to leave an impact on the general public or fans, if you want, people that never really get a chance to see it. But I remember it wheeling into the airport, and the handler's there, and he pulls it off. And I think he opened it up to make sure everything was okay, and the whole airport came running over. Now, Saskatoon Airport's not that time, but they were all there, and it is like a magnet. It really is, and it has an unreal effect on people. You don't even have to be a hockey fan. People know it, and they want to see it.
So how much has that driven you since then in your days going to San Jose and then Edmonton and then to LA and now back to Detroit?
Well, my time in Detroit, I do describe it to people as going to the Harvard of hockey. Like a young guy like me, no one gets that opportunity, that chance to step right in and learn from so many people, whether it's the players that actually played at that time. They taught me a lot. The coaching staff led by Babs, of course, Kenny and his staff. But you think further and expand the ring around the team, like Mr. Howe and Mr. DeVecchio were still walking through at that point. And Mark Howe was around. Beaker was there. Stevie played and then he managed. The number of Hall of Famers, Igor Larionov, the number of Hall of Famers that were in and around there that had a genuine opinion about the game and where it was going and our team was incredible. I do think there's still players out there now that come back to their old teams and have opinions, and they drop them and then they leave, and it's no big deal. But the people that we had around that team cared, and they were there all the time. They were fully invested in it. And I somehow was smart enough those years to shut my mouth, open my eyes, and listen. And I think that paid off in the long run. And I still use a lot of those lessons that I learned. Of course, the players and the game has changed immensely since back then. But the lessons I was taught there were Harvard lessons. They weren't high school or junior college lessons. They were about as deep as you could get.
Yeah, you mentioned the player, Todd. I know since I played, and I'm around the team enough to know like the players have changed. I think for the better. It's a really skilled league. The games are fantastic. How have you had to change as a coach? Because it is tough. The players are a lot different like I said, for the better. The game is exciting now. It's great to watch. It's the best game I believe in the world. But as a coach, what adjustments have you had to make? Because you've had to. You've coached a lot of great teams, a lot of great players.
I have. I've been around for a lot of years now, and you have to adjust and change. And if you don't, you get left behind. I would agree with you about 99% that the players have changed for the better. But I think that 1% that doesn't exist anymore is really missing. And players, you hear about entitlement and entourages. The players are so well insulated right now with so many good people around them, whether it's their trainers, their agents, their parents, skill coaches, skating instructors, nutritionists. And I'm not just talking about the Detroit Red Wings staff. They all have their own staffs. And sometimes that can hurt, in my opinion, the individual or the team. Now the skill part, the speed, the fitness, it's all gone up. There's no doubt about it. But for me, the players are, they handle critique and compliment much differently now than the players did in the past. And the coaches have to change. They have to understand that it's a little harder to be real direct with, whoever it might be, than it would have been for Chris Draper or Chris Osgood. You guys were a little more, not necessarily willing, but you could handle, you had a little bit of a thicker skin, and you push different buttons with you than players today. And there's no right way or wrong way. I just know today it's a little bit different, and feelings can be a little more affected than in the past.
Well, that's interesting because I've been around that more so on the baseball side, I think, where you have, each player has their own hitting instructor or their own pitching guru or those kinds of things. And so you have coaches who are coaching against coaches because everybody's got a different idea of what they want that player to be. And sometimes for someone in your position, I got to believe that's got to be frustrating at times, right?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. So, these young players, you take Marco Kasper, I'm just going to use him as an example. This doesn't happen in his world. I just pulled his name out. But he plays the game. He gets off the ice, win or lose. He gets into the locker room. The first thing he does is he takes his gear off, quickly gets out of there. Everybody goes to their phones. Everybody's in the back room looking at their phones. They're looking for feedback. And they're certainly not looking for negative feedback because that's the last thing they want. So they're looking for positive stuff. They hear from mom and dad. They hear from the agent. Whether the agent watched the game or not, the player had an outstanding night, probably deserved 3 more minutes and should have been on the power play. It's just the way it works. And the opportunity to get feedback is instant. So by the time the coaching staff gets to deal with the player, usually the next day, there's not enough time at night. The players had a chance to either seriously evaluate himself or get enough feedback to convolute what really happened and be tricked a little bit. So, so that's one of the challenges we have. The other thing is just within a staff. Ozzy, I was talking to Bill Ranford the other day about goaltending and goaltending coaches. And he made a really good point. He said, goaltenders used to play as part of a team. On a penalty kill, there's 5 guys on the ice. Now there's 4 and a goaltender. And he talked about goalies being able to read the rush. I know you shared this, or read the play a little bit. You shared this with me too. Where's the dangerous spot now? Where could the puck go to enter the net? And goalies right now are being so individualized. They just focus on the puck where it is. They have no idea where to read. So even with our own coaching staff, sometimes you take what should be a team game and you turn it into an individual game, especially at that position right now. And we're going to really try and get our goaltenders, I don't know if you agree, Ozzy, or not, but be able to understand what's going to happen in front of them, anticipate where something might go. and be prepared to react to it. And I think we'll get better for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's new ways to coach for sure, Todd. And I feel talking to you, I knew you in 08. We were together 3-4 years, and you seem like you're, I don't want to say relaxed, you never are, but you seem like you're more comfortable at where you're at in your career right now. You coach some great teams. San Jose, opportunity to win. You had some unreal players, Edmonton, LA as well. Give us some insight on how hard it is to win, because those are some great teams. Connor McDavid, a little bit of who he is like as a person. What makes him so great?
Well, it is, as you know, very, very difficult to win. And as you add more teams, not only does it get more difficult to win, but the talent pool gets spread out a little bit more. Salary cap has come in multiple years ago, so that affects things. Players are well informed business-wise now, making decisions money-wise on taxes and stuff. So it's you're really competing for talent, and then you're competing against each other, and it's really hard to win. Some of the teams I've been on, obviously those San Jose teams, leaving the Red Wings after winning and going to San Jose and then coming back and playing against them right away, that was there was a lot of stress in that. I cared a lot about the Red Wing players at that time because we'd won together, but obviously had the San Jose guys there, and I thought those series were outstanding. That was about as good as the Stanley Cup championship.
They were great series. Well, Pavelski, gosh.
And then going to Edmonton, I lucky enough to have Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, two of the best players in the world right now, but I had them when they were kids. Connor came in as a rookie. Leon basically played as a rookie, and they were ultra talented at that point. They've obviously taken their game to the next level, but now they truly get it. You can just watch the press conferences. They are in it to win. When you're young, you don't quite get that. You think you're going to have a million chances, and life just goes on, and you keep playing, and eventually you'll win. But as you get a little older, it gets tougher, it gets harder. The finish lines get closer, and then you realize that there's more to it than just playing the game. The game management, I talked about this in Detroit. Game management and understanding of how the 60-minute rolls out night after night is maybe the last skill that comes for many of these young players because they're so gifted in everything else, but it might be the difference maker when it's all said and done.
Great chance to take a break right there. We'll step aside for a moment. We'll come back and ask Todd McLellan about his decision to come back to Detroit in a moment as Ozzy and Keats rolls on.
Rosenau is the largest power sports dealer in the Tri-County area. And as we go into summer, they carry all three brands of PWC, Sea-Doo, Yamaha, and Kawasaki with huge rebates or promo financing available. Call 313-278-5000 to take advantage while supplies last.
I believe that you knew that it was my last year in broadcasting with the Red Wings, and so that played a role in your decision to come back to Detroit to try to get the Red Wings into the playoffs because you knew it was my last year and you knew that was important, right?
Absolutely. I don't know where you got that information from, but that only takes
lies.
That threw me back, but I also heard rumors of Ozzy wanting to come back and play, and that kind of pushed me away for a little while. So,
not a chance. Not a chance. Those last 2 years crushed me. Yeah, we were talking about earlier today. If not for that win and that devastating loss, my liver would be in a heck of a lot better shape than it is nowadays. And the fact that I live near you out there, you know what it's like out there in wine country. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. But I don't recall you drinking a lot of wine, though, unless it comes in brown bottles.
I can't. Yeah. But you did mention the players that now they grab their cell phones. I almost said something there. We're in a rush to meet Larry Murphy in the back room for some pizza and some cold ones after. So that seemed to work for us.
And you know what? Every team has their stick, and that's part of, you talk about beers. You used to get on in Chicago after a game, and you could hear them clinking at the back. And whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But the players used to sit on the bus and talk things through and have a beer and clarify and swear at each other or compliment each other, get on the plane and go home. And that really doesn't exist right now. The buses are silent. Everybody's texting each other. Like there is a true lack of verbal communication. Maybe the pizza and beer with Murph certainly helped, but I'm sure everybody enjoyed it.
Well, and I think some people believe that that part of the I guess the culture is gone, where it's like after a tough loss, all right, boys, let's go out and we'll have 4 beers and a pizza and forget about this one. That really doesn't happen much. That culture of getting together on the road post game isn't there as much as it used to be.
No, it still exists. Like I don't want to be too hard on the players. It still exists. There's some real good guys that can round the team up and get them out. Lots of comes, but not quite as often. And again, for the better, probably understanding a little bit about body maintenance and putting those beers and pizzas into your body. Now it would be maybe some water and vegetables or whatever it might be, versus maybe what Ozzy did back in the day with the hot dogs on the bench and the beers after. But it seemed to work for Ozzy.
We can still do that. When I get out,
Still do that?
we can still do that. You and I, like not season, but like now, like when I get back there. But I've never been to your house there. I heard it's outstanding.
Well, you don't want to come by?
I'll come by when I get back. I'm driving Friday.
Give me a 2-day warning just so I can
There you go.
compare my neighbors. They're elderly neighbors. And
Are they?
yeah, if the Osgood show pulls up to the dock, I'll have to warn them.
Well, take us through your decision to come back. What was that conversation like with Steve? How much did you sort of roll it around in your head before you and your wife talked about it and said yeah, let's head back to Hockey Town?
After being released in Los Angeles, I had to take some time and think about things. Do I want to keep this going? Do I still have it? Am I the right guy to be doing it? And after decompressing a little bit and being mad and blaming people and then reviewing things, I came to the decision that, I would like to. But then the next step was obviously with my wife, and she'd been around me for a long time, and she was very supportive again. So now what opportunities exist? And, starting with an organization and maybe being able to go back and finish with one is a really unique opportunity, especially when it's a original six. You won a championship with them. You understand the lots of company maybe within the organization, ownership, a lot of the management team right now, and the people that are involved with the Red Wings were part of that championship team in some way, shape, or form. The training staff is the same. The John, yourself coming back, and Trevor and everybody else in the media world still look the same. The security people at LCA were the same security people that were at Joe Louis. So familiarity provided comfort. The want to go back and make a difference. These are the types of situations I've gone into in the past with both LA and Edmonton, kind of trying to retool and pull teams out of it. And I like the people that are involved, so it made it a fairly easy decision during the season.
And he got off to a terrific start. January and February, March not so much. How much did that sting as you made your way back to Western Canada after the season was over?
Well, it certainly it left a scar. Not necessarily because it happened last year, just because it's been a repetitive thing, and we've got to solve that issue. When I look at our time from basically Christmas to the end of the year, that can be a typical season. You get on a heater and then you kind of give it back and you go through a down tumble. What we all have to understand is we have to, as soon as the schedule comes out, we'll all look at it and we'll go, okay, well, that's a tough week. This isn't a tough week. It never is that way. You just play that game tonight. And those 2 points are so important. You look at the start last year for the Wings, and you would have thought that the Rangers were going to be in and Nashville was going to be in. I think they played them 6 of the first 10 or 12 games. So when you don't win those games consistently, you're going, well, we're okay because, they're supposed to be the Stanley Cup champs and we're not quite there yet, if that's your train of thought. But at the end of the year, you look back and go, boy, if we would have won 3 or 4 of those games, it could have made a difference. So, it's hard when you lose. It's a lot of fun when you win, and everything between that's so difficult to maintain and keep on the rails. And sometimes it goes bad, and good teams get it back quick. They don't take water on very long.
Plus, it
No,
comes.
Todd, in your estimation, I mean, I've talked with you lots. I'm on the road not as much as I would like to, as I used to be. But what's it going to take? Like, what does he need to get this team over the hump of winning those games, having that great march, being able to push through? I think part of the experience of losing will help. But what's the next step?
Yeah, and the group, you talk about losing, and I remember Kenny always saying, you just chip away, you just chip away. We got good teams. We weren't quite there. Let's make a little change. Well, this organization's chipped away now for a while. For us to have success, we need to maximize the ability of some of our key people. Now, yeah, Dylan Larkin's a key person, but like a guy like Vladdy Tarasenko and a few others, they have to play to the best of their abilities. And if they do that, then we take a chance. And we have to get them up. I think some of the younger players have to understand the whole game management thing. You're up 3-1. How do you manage the last 7, 8, 9 minutes of a game? That has to change. And that, as I mentioned earlier, that's one of the last things to come for young players. The belief system can, there's so many emotional swings within our team. You're winning 7 games and you're on a real big high, and all of a sudden you lose one and you're going, where did all that confidence go? Like, you could see it go away during a period or a series of shifts. Maybe once you've won a championship, you realize it's not all, it's not all rosy. There's probably more bumps than mountains, and you got to be able to deal with it. And our guys still have to learn that. But we have to get premium performance out of some key people.
One last question. It's not up to you, but do you think your team makes a big splash and brings in a big name free agent?
Yeah, well, I hear this outside the organization and whatnot. 32 teams would love to do that 3 times over. You know what? Let's get a goalie, let's get a D-man, and let's get a forward all in free agency and make big splashes. Well, one, you only have so much in the treasure chest to spend because of the cap. 2, the players get to make decisions and choices. And Detroit and the Red Wings is certainly a great spot to come. I don't think I know of anybody that wouldn't want to be there. But there are other teams that may be closer to winning. There are better fits for players in different communities for whatever reason. Sometimes it's as simple as schooling and being able to get your kids into the right situation.
Sure.
So we're competing against 32 other organizations. We're competing against agents and their beliefs. We're competing against families and their desires and wants. We're competing against coaching staff. Maybe certain players want to play for a different type of coach and a different system. So would we like to make a big splash? Well, we'd like to improve our team. And I know Steve and his staff are looking at that. Is that a big splash, small splash? I don't know. Is it any splash? The one exciting thing is the youth in the organization that's coming is as good, maybe less Connor and Leon, as good a youth as I've been around in my, I don't know how many years. But they're still just on the cusp of entering the league. Even Marco Kasper hasn't really truly cut his teeth yet. And we're all really excited about him. But that youth that's coming should be the group that really takes charge of the team as we move forward.
You remember the show Three's Company? Are you?
Yeah.
You're younger than I am, but look at the moron wearing the Regal Beagle T-shirt.
Wow.
I mean, you pulled that out. I mean, I noticed it, but I thought, how am I going to bring this into the conversation?
Yeah, I haven't been called that since after the parade in 2008 when I got
moron.
I think I heard a couple during the parade too.
Oh, a couple. That's where you can't play nickname.
I think Yuri Hudler nicknamed you that, didn't he, during the parade?
Yeah, and that would be ironic if he said that about me.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Jeez, if we start with Yuri Hudler stories, we're going to be here all afternoon. I think.
Oh yeah.
So,
there was a moron that dropped that cup at Chelly's bar, but I don't think it was Ozzy.
No,
Brett Lebda. They said Kelly told that story. It was Brett Lebda who dropped the and he called. I think he called him a moron or something like that. So, Dave. Hey, we can't thank you enough for your time. Yeah, it's sensational to visit with you. I'll miss the chances to see you regularly, but hopefully we'll cross paths soon. Thanks, Todd.
Well, that sounds good, John. Thanks for having me. And Ozzy, I'll see you on the dock here. I'll send me a text and I'll be ready for you.
All right.
Yeah. Be prepared.
Great to
All right,
have you,
that's
John.
it for us. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time on Ozzy and Keats.
Ozzy and Keats is produced by Zachary Davis and Bill McAllister and proudly distributed by Podcast Nation in Troy, Michigan.